have the funds to buy a choir shirt or to participate in band. The booster clubs are awesome. That's the only word to describe it. And they find a way to help those kids who can't afford otherwise.
Did you want to add anything, Matt?
I mean, I don't think I disagree with anything that anybody said. The only thing that I could say is, as a parent, I'd be willing to pay if need be. And that's the only thing that I could add is, if a parent can contribute money, I don't want to say, don't. But if a student can't, I don't want to prevent them from doing an activity either. So I don't know how to do it, but I don't think you should prevent a student from participating in an activity if they can't pay.
Aside from budget problems, what issues are you concerned about? Jill?
I think that the biggest issue that's out there, and it's the one that we've barely mentioned here, I think it's school safety. I think that that's in the back of everybody's mind when we send our children there every day. And it's not just the active shooters in the area. I think the biggest danger that our kids face, and the biggest danger that's out there, and again, it's in every newspaper and magazine, is from the bullying, the online harassment issues. And again, one of the problems that I see is that we know that middle school kids are the most vulnerable, that the suicide rates in this country are going up because of these kids that are saying nasty things. So I think that we need to address that, and again, not just because the state mandated that we give a few minutes a year for cyber safety, but I think we need to address it for the own health of the kids. We need to address it because I think it truly affects their ability to learn if they're worried about what their friends are saying about them. And it ruins the experience that everything else we do here at Macomb in the school district does for these kids. We've got great programs and great after-school things, but they can't enjoy it if other kids are picking on them. So I think that that's an area that I clearly think that we need to address more strongly, and clearly from third grade up through the high school level. We have to find a way to spend more time and deal with that issue.
Robert?
One of the biggest concerns, worries that I have is the funding for education here in Illinois. It constantly is cut. It's one of the first things to go. You cut money to schools, and then you also cut money for transportation. So the schools are getting hit twice as hard when you have a rural district like we have, not as bad as West Prairie maybe, but that's a huge. When you have double-digit reductions in your transportation budget, that's huge. That's huge for any district. And a big concern is what is going to happen with the pension reform. It worries me. I think if we don't see county schools within a decade, I would be surprised. I think this is just a road, a pathway to get to that, whether it's wanted by some legislators or the governor, I don't know. But when you keep cutting like this and cutting, making smaller districts, more consolidated districts, that's when you're going to start saving some money.
Ardell, did you have your hand up?
I sure did. I'll piggyback on what Robert said. Our funds are being cut. Who could take 20% out of their check and live on it today, which is what they're doing. Our school district is living with 20% less than what they have, and then they're prorating that to boot. Secondly, it seems like, I guess the elephant's in the room, so I'll say it, forced consolidation. To me, forced consolidation is not something that's going to help this area. People who are saying things about forced consolidation or forcing us to consolidate don't understand that this area, the school is the center of each individual community. And you got to keep one of our superintendents used to say, you got to keep the babies home. The babies have to stay in their hometown if they can. Even with consolidation, there has to be a way. West Prairie has done it. They've kept the babies in their hometown as much as they can. And I think what we have to do is put upon our legislators this thing. Throw it back to them and let them see what we live every day.
Jim?
I Ardell, one of the things you said that our budget's been reduced by 20%, our state aid has been reduced by 20%. So it's not 20% across the board, it's.
No.
Yeah, it's just,
And
it's
I
20% of
meant,
the
I
state.
meant that. I
yeah,
hope
yeah.
that was
Yeah.
what they
Yeah.
understood, is that the state is the one that's cutting it by
Yeah.
20%.
Which is about the
But
20%.
when you take 20% out of even what the state
Oh,
gives
right,
us.
right, which is about 20%.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
is a
There's
lot.
no question there
Yeah.
that we're feeling the pain of, what is it, 1.5 million within the next
Yeah.
3
And that's
years?
not even taking into account what we might have to pay if they decide to have us help with the pension.
Right. So, I mean, no question that those are really important concerns when it comes to the budget. But I guess for me, in the end, my concern is about the learning and the growth of all kids. Again, maybe this is the old teacher in me. I'm concerned about the kid that sits in the back of the classroom who is disengaged, the one who's the fear of falling through the cracks. And I think that Macomb does a good job of getting them engaged and getting them involved in programs. I think with changing families and just with kids today, I think we have to do a better job of engaging them because they are going to be the citizens of tomorrow. And that's one of the key things. What Jill had said about cyberbullying and issues like that, that's a school climate issue. If we create the type of climate where that's just not tolerated, and not that it takes care of itself, but my stop sign's up, so
All right.
being cautious of that.
Anyone else? If not, for the challengers, and we'll start with you, Leslie, and work our way down the table. What have you done to prepare yourself for service on the school board?
Well, to prepare myself, I have chatted with several current board members to learn what challenges board members face, and also then have talked with teachers, current teachers, and again, with what they are looking for in a board member, what challenges they face as teachers. And then Dr. Rushell put on fabulous orientation classes, so I did attend those classes that she put on.
Matt?
I was on the board for 4 years, so I have some of that knowledge, but I think what you learn is you're on the board for 4 years, you're up for reelection, and you just get started learning all the different caveats there are. So even after those 4 years, I still think I have a lot to learn. But I try to keep up with what the board's doing through, and I think it's an awesome thing that they do where you can listen to the meetings online. I can't attend the meetings, but I try to listen to those. Just listen to what the parents have to say, kind of listen to what's going on and listen to what's going on in the news.
Jill?
Clearly, I follow what's happening with the school board all the way through, and I've gone to Dr. Rushell's training programs. But I think what I've really done is that I listen to the community. When I go to the events, when I go to the football games, when I go to the basketball games, when I go to, some of the dance recitals and the music concerts and things like that, I listen to what the community says and what some of their complaints are. And I also spend a lot of time going to the difference. I've been to the middle school many times here under Dana Isaacson, teaching cyberbullying for both the children, and I've taught to the entire 7th and 8th grade class, again, on my own free time. I do the new teacher training in terms of the cyber safety and things like that about what they need to do. I've spent a lot of time with the university on how to write grants, and again, I fight constantly. I want to see grants that will affect us in our community, not other parts of the state. Not saying they're not worthy of it, but why can't we do it here at home? So I've prepared myself in that sense, and obviously being a teacher and a parent.
Jim?
I guess, first off, I'd say I guess I live and breathe education as a career educator. I work with teachers and with principals and superintendents and that. So I guess it's part of my 24/7. At the same time, I've got 4 kids, and so I listen and watch them a lot. In preparing for this, though, about 2 years ago, a friend of mine asked if I was interested in this. And I said, I think so. I think there's some things I could offer if I ran for school board. One of the things that I would say that I did when I had the opportunity for sabbatical is I created a research project where I would go out and visit rural schools and see the different types of things that they were doing, some of the innovative things, some of the things that help them be engaged with their communities in different ways. And one thing was how to best serve all kids in those communities. So that's, I think, what I can kind of insight I can offer to the board and how I prepared myself for what I hope will be working for everyone in the community.
And for the two incumbents up here, what have you done to deserve another term? Ardell?
Oh, I get to be on the Hod's place. I've served on the board for 12 years, and I've always tried to listen. I've always tried to understand what's going on. I don't run a spreadsheet as well as anybody. Finances. I know that we're having to cut, that we're having to contain costs. My main concern is the students. Every decision I've ever made was because I took all the students into consideration. They are the ones that we have to listen to, and they are the ones we have to educate. And lots of people say, boy, that's a thankless job. And I said, it has never been a thankless job when you can see smiling faces coming in all of our doors every day. And I want to make sure that we have the best staff, the best administration, and the best technology, and the best textbooks and everything that we can to make sure that our students are getting the best education they can. I'm proud of the Macomb School District. They shine in this area. And I'm proud of the staff because they take pride in the work that they do. And I guess maybe I just want some more time to see how things go with the new superintendent and see us through this financial crisis.
Robert?
I think one of the biggest things that I have done is I try to be open to the community and really, I think, more toward the staff and the teachers. I try to keep everybody informed when we were doing our superintendent search of what was coming up and what to expect, and make sure they got the word out to attend the forum so they could be a part of the process. One of the most important job they tell you a school board member has is the hiring of the superintendent, and I think we have done that. What else have I done? Again, like Ardell, every vote that I give, that I vote yes or no on, I do with what I think is the best interest of the student at heart. I have 2 kids in the district still, and I know that what I do, sitting here every third Monday, affects them, affects their friends, affects teachers, and I value what I do. I think as a board we've done a really good job the past 4 years, and I hope to continue.
I'd like to remind the audience that 4 seats are to be filled on the Macomb School Board, and you may vote for up to 4 of the candidates. Each will now have 1 minute to make concluding remarks, and we'll start at the far end of the table and work back down this way. So Jim LaPrade.
I'd just like to say that when I made the decision to run for school board, it was a personal decision for my kids. I believe that improving and helping improve their education is one of the most important things that I can do as a parent. And to transfer that into helping to improve the education of all kids. As I said before, I think Macomb does really good with lots of kids, but I think there are some kids out there that aren't necessarily being reached. I think, and it isn't necessarily the teachers either. I think a lot of it comes down to educational programming, and some of that educational programming isn't programming that costs additional resources. I had the opportunity as a teacher in Virginia to work with an incredible program that benefited all kids across the board, and it was an experiential program which took them outside the classroom, outside the school. It taught them other skills that were important in a democracy, and I think some of those things that could be a new perspective that I may bring can be offered and shared. So thank you for your time, and stop signs up again.
You're getting that a lot.
I am.
Jill Jolene Myers.
Thank you. I think that when I wanted to run for school board, and the reason I think that I offer a different perspective is, like I said, I'm a lawyer, and I've spent my entire career doing public service. I've spent years representing abused and neglected kids. And I've spent years as a prosecutor and teaching in the public system, not in the private sector. And what I've learned is, first off, that we never have enough money, we never have enough resources, and I've learned to be very efficient with the resources that we have. And I've found a way to get money to force the legislators to do what is necessary and to do the right thing for these kids. And again, it's very hard when you give personal stories and you put a face to it for them to start denying us what we need. And I think that I bring those same skills here, because what we need, if we need more band uniforms, or if we need more tools or resources for either the students or for the faculty, if we put a face to it, we find a way to get it. I also, as a lawyer, I think one of my biggest skills is we have to listen. And by listening, I can hear what's interesting and what's important to you all. And probably what's important to you all is ag education, some of the technical educations, and the fairness, so we don't end up with another Title IX issue or any other of those problems, because we need to bring that forth to us so we can set the policies that will back that up. Thanks.
Matthew Clark.
I'm in a weird spot because I've been on the board before, I wasn't reelected, and that's given me a chance to kind of look back and say, what could I do differently? What could I do to maybe be a better board member? And I've done some thinking about that, and I think there's some things that I could do better. And I would love to serve you again as a board member. I loved it. I do not regret any time that I spent on the board. A lot of people say you're crazy for running for the school board. I don't think you're crazy. I think you just have a love for the community and the kids. But in the end, if I'm not reelected, I think there are highly qualified candidates, and it excites me, just like it did 2 years ago, that there's people that want to run. When I ran the first time, ran unopposed. Past 2 times, there's been some competition. So I really do appreciate everybody here, that they took the time to run, that they have that desire. But yeah, I'd like to be reelected, or not reelected, but I'd like to be elected. Just thank you for your time.
Leslie Weston.
I wrestled with the decision to run. I had many people telling me that it was going to be one of the hardest things that I've done, that it would be very time-consuming. Ultimately, I chose to run because I did want to make a difference. I want to be a part of this school district that is pretty amazing. We've got great teachers, we've got great staff, a new superintendent to work with, the children, a family, of course. I have family that I kind of want to look out for as well, but I just look forward to this opportunity and hope to be a great spokesperson for the community.
Robert Schaus.
I kind of gave my closing statement, I think, maybe a while ago, but sorry about that. I think what is very important to me is that I do not seek re-election with an agenda. If I do have an agenda, is to just continue to serve the students the best I have. And I mentioned this at our last board meeting. I have a daughter who is a senior this year. It is so cool to recognize all the seniors that are coming up for all the different awards that they receive, and know that, oh my gosh, I've known you since before my other daughter was born, or I've known you since you were 6 years old. It's thrilling. One thing that I don't think we do is we don't micromanage. You won't see us involved directly in the hiring process. We rely on the people that we have in place to do that. They bring their recommendations to us, and we have to act on the best information that we have to either accept or turn down that recommendation. And it's the same with everything else. We deal with the issues the best that we can with the information that we have.
Ardell Thompson.
Oh, I get to start and I get to end. Thank you. I guess I have about 5 things that I have goals to accomplish yet. First of all, I'm so excited about working with our new superintendent. I think he's going to bring a new perspective to our district, and I just want to have the opportunity to do so. Secondly, I want to work with the board through the cost containment, which we've set as a 4-year goal. I want to see us work through that. we're going to hire a new principal at Lincoln. Those babies need the best person possible to keep them going in the right direction. We have collective bargaining with our staff. I don't look at it as a nightmare. I look at it as a way of sitting across the table from the people who do the most good for the children of our district. And finally, I want to serve the needs of all the children in this district, be they an ag student, be they a kindergartner, be they an athlete, if they're in the band, whatever. I want to make sure that everybody, every child, gets an education at Macomb High, or at Macomb School District. Thank you.
Please thank these candidates for their thoughtful answers, their willingness to serve. There is another contested election on the ballot, candidates for Spoon River College Board of Trustees. These candidates are attending a gathering similar to this in Carthage tonight, so they could not be here. I would like to mention their names. There are 4 candidates vying for 2 open seats. They are Kent Schleich of Fairview, John Lobach of Cuba, Jerry Kramer of Macomb, and Gail Strode-Blodgett of Cuba. So be prepared to make a choice in that election. The voter registration office says early voting continues until April 4th, and absentee balloting continues until April 8th. The voter registration office will be open for early voting this